Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dr. Lee, I want to talk briefly about the Serving Our Rural Veterans Act, and I appreciate Senator Tester's commitment to that issue as well. As you know, this goes to an issue that actually was raised, and the idea was not mine or even Senator Tester's. It was actually Dr. Shulkin's when we were up in Alaska visiting, and he had this idea of, hey, how do we get more health providers in rural areas, extreme rural areas, and then is that a way to help get them working in the VA? And so we discussed this. This bill's getting ready. We want to finalize a couple elements of that. I appreciate your testimony talking about how you're supportive of the bill. What we want to be able to do, though, is just kind of iron out some of the final elements. We've gotten some conflicting recommendations from the VA, particularly on the issue of a service commitment that relates to this, what you guys think about that. I think in previous testimony and consultations with my staff, there's been an interest in that, and then now I think in your public statement, there's not an interest. We want full VA support. I know Dr. Shulkin does. Like I said, he's been not only supportive, but was the, in many ways the brainchild of this entire bill. So we want to work with you on that. But we want to get this in, and we want to get this passed. It's an important bill that we think can benefit a lot of our veterans and very bipartisan. So can I get your commitment on that?
Senator, thank you for raising this issue. We're very supportive of wanting to build the capacity for care through graduate medical education investments in rural areas. And I think where we are we look forward to working with you on the specifics of your bill. Our concerns just come from wanting to get the most bang for our buck,
sure.
if you will,
absolutely,
in service to veterans from those residents.
Yep.
And looking at what that the service commitment is back for the chance to be a part of the program, and also looking at authorities for expanding debt reduction to resident physicians. So we look forward
Wonderful.
to working with you.
If we can do that sooner rather than later, I think that we're all anxious to introduce this bill. I think it'll have strong bipartisan support in the committee, and we really want to move on it this year.
We'd be happy to work with you. Great.
And then I just have one final question. I've been very interested in the appeals issue. I know that we have the S-1024, which is Chairman's bill, and Senator Blumenthal and the ranking member's bill. My question that relates to that bill is someone who's been very focused on the appeals issue and concerns about the backlog. I believe that bill authorizes kind of the ability to test facets of the new appeals system. And is the VA planning on using that? And my only concern, I would encourage you to, once this bill becomes law, because we all know we have a challenge on the appeals process, but we also don't want to go out with in my view, a full comprehensive approach and then realize, uh-oh, there's another problem here, and kind of crash the system the way, say, for example, the Choice Act was in certain states like mine, where it was fully implemented and it just didn't work. So can you talk to that issue of kind of the ability to test case how we're doing appeals correctly under this bill, so we don't, I'm sure there's a lot of good ideas, but this is a comprehensive bill, and if we go full authority and then we realize something in the bill is actually not working, I don't want to have a appeals system that's further broken. Anyone want to talk
Senator,
to that issue?
I'll start, and then maybe Mr. Hatchie has something to add. I think there may be a little bit of a misconception about this bill. We're not changing the way that we decide appeals or decide claims in VBA, where I work. It's really how we're routing the work to the point where you make those decisions. So I think some people believe that it is a very significant change. It's, in fact, somewhat of a historical change. But on the one hand, what we're really doing is just streamlining the process that gets to the point where the decision is made. And we're kind of pulling the current process apart and realigning it so that it gets to a point where a veteran has a choice about how they want to handle the review process. So You know, there's been some concern expressed, and in particular referring to the GAO report that was done on the appeals process. But the critical point to understand is that the board isn't changing how they're doing their decisions, and we're not changing how we're doing ours. We're applying the law to the facts in the same way. It's just how we get the appeals and the claims to the end point where the person makes the decision, more streamlined. We've worked very closely with some of the other panelists you're going to hear from today on developing this process and the VSOs and other stakeholders. This is a situation where we believe that we have the right solution. If we were unsure of that, then certainly it would be important to do a pilot or some other type of implementation. But we have such a severe problem right now that it would be the wrong thing to do, in VA's opinion, to make it only available to certain veterans, and in fact, it would be unfair if we did that when we know that we have the right solution. It's better than what we have today. There's no doubt about that. So it doesn't make much sense to do a pilot or something similar to that. Donnie, do you have anything you want to add?
I would agree with everything that Dave just said. I think the substantive law here that's being used to decide appeals is the same. What we're really doing is simplifying the process and pulling it apart and making it easier for veterans and providing them with more choice. We know that the system we're working with now is broken, and so a piecemeal solution we don't think is the right approach right now. We brought all of the major stakeholders together and come up with something we believe is the right answer for veterans that's going to get them faster decisions and provide a simpler process. We think the time to do it is now, and we can't delay it any further by engaging in a pilot or having a phased-in implementation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Sullivan.